Hey, you can, even if you feel like you can't, always win. It's amazing. People think, yeah, but you don't understand. This is against me, this is against me, this is against me, this is against me. There's no way I can win. You don't understand how hard I have it. You don't understand how difficult it is for me. You can always win. In this video, in this Bible study, today, I'm going to teach you biblically a concept that shows you how you can win against all odds. Jesus won his greatest battle by losing, his greatest victory by losing. In fact, the scripture says that if the princes of this world had known what they were doing, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. They thought that was their plan, but that was his plan from the beginning. So I want to read something to you. One of my favorite chapters to meditate on in Romans is Romans chapter 12. The whole book of Romans, though, is so remarkably powerful. But I'm going to start in verse 17, and we may end up reading the whole chapter eventually. But verse 17, it says, "Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head." And then it says this. What if the way he ended this right here, what if this next sentence I'm about to say became your way of life? Here's what he said. "Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good." What? Now, do you understand? If the Bible is telling us, be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good, you know what that means, right? That means you don't have to be overcome of evil. And it means you can overcome evil with good. But here's what people don't realize. The only thing you can overcome evil with is good. You can't overcome evil with evil. You have to overcome evil with good. And I was thinking about how, even like everything points to this. I'm getting chills thinking about this. Like the hair stand up on my arms right now. Everything points to this. Like when you go back to Genesis chapter 1, and it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It started right there. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, so what do we see there? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So you got the space and you got the matter. Those are opposites of each other. We see clearly that earth gives heaven expression, but heaven gives earth meaning, right? And so, like, the earth without heaven is meaningless expression. But heaven without earth is expressionless meaning. And so God says, you gotta have both. And so we see that when we think about the principles and the laws of the universe, and the first law of thermodynamics is the law of energy conservation. Everything is energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form. So what does that mean? That means if you go out in the forest and you chop down a tree and you chop it in pieces and you put it in the fire, the energy of the wood the wood doesn't cease to exist. It just ceases to be wood, and it turns into the energy of fire. And then the fire heats us up, and then it converts into the energy of ashes. And then we take those ashes, we put them in our garden, and it converts into food for our food. And then we eat the food, and the whole process starts over again. And so we have the law of energy conservation, but it has an opposite, which is what? The law of entropy. Anything left to itself tends to move more and more towards disorder. Isn't it funny? I did an event last weekend and I talked about this. Isn't it funny that we have to wash our face, but we don't have to dirty our face? You ever think about that? We have to, if we're going to smell good, we have to intentionally make ourselves smell good. We don't have to make ourselves intentionally smell bad. It just happens. I don't have to decide, I am going to be weaker. I'm just going to become like mush. But in order for me to get strong, it requires that I decide and have some intention around it. So this is going to make so much sense to you in a minute. So you have the law of energy, but you also have the law of entropy, right? And the law of energy is the good force, but the law of entropy is the negative force. Then you have the law of inertia. What's the law of inertia? An object at rest will remain at rest. How long? Until and unless it's acted upon by an outside force, right? So you got this principle that if something is not moving, it's just an object. It's inanimate, inorganic. I mean, it's an inanimate, like just glob of rock or whatever. It will remain at rest until and unless it's acted upon by an outside force. So something has to come along and move it. But then you have the opposite law of that, which is the law of what? Momentum. An object in motion will continue in motion until and unless it's acted upon by an outside force. And you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with my life? Only everything. Like only everything. And so as we keep on going, we find this next law which shows up everywhere. And if I can start recognizing this next law everywhere and then figuring out which side of this next law, which side of the equation I'm on, then I can know whether or not I am going to win or am I going to lose. Because you are not going to out-principle a principle. And so that is the law of polarity. For every negative, there's a positive. For every positive, there's a negative. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And if you look at the scriptures, it's a constant reminder of the law of polarity. You have God, but you have Satan. You have good, but you have evil. You have life, and then you have death. You have a blessing, but then you have a curse. Remember in Deuteronomy? When Moses wrote, he said, I set before you this day, life and death, a blessing and a curse, life and death. And then he said, choose life. I'm like, no, duh. But it is duh. Because like so many people don't choose life. I set before you today, energy and entropy. Choose energy. I set before you this day inertia and momentum. Choose momentum. I set before you this day weakness and strength. Choose strength. I set before you this day life and death. Choose life. I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. Choose a blessing. I set before you this day health and sickness. Choose health. Like, it seems like, why are we stating the obvious? Because nothing seems to be more mysterious to John Q. Public than the obvious. Am I missing it? And it's so fascinating. And then we like, I don't know why this happened to me. No, baby. Don't. You might play you, but don't play me, right? What? I don't know why this is happening to me. Child, please. Life. People say success gives clues. So does failure. Life gives clues. Life gives clues. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Don't be overcome of entropy, but overcome entropy with energy. Don't be overcome of inertia, but overcome inertia with momentum. Don't be overcome with negative, but overcome the negative with positive. Don't be overcome by somebody else's evil deeds, but love them to hate you. Oh, wow. It's really biblically practical, isn't it? Do good to them that despitefully use you and persecute you. What? Why? Jesus told us that the way to overcome evil is with good. But sometimes life turns you in a different direction, doesn't it? Because my version of turning the other cheek when I was, what? Why y'all laughing? my version of turning the other cheek when I was a child, I'm gonna turn your other cheek, okay? Okay, let's don't get it twisted. Right? Like you would, I don't want to go there, but I don't mind. Let's go. Hey, right? But God's ways are better than our ways. They're higher than our ways. People ask me why I believe the Bible. Well, I believe it because I believe it because it's truth. But the practical reason I believe the Bible, I've literally been putting it to the test for decades, and it has never proven itself to be wrong. My brother Jeff is here, and he's my older brother. He did a very good job protecting me when I was little, and he was bigger than me and stronger, and he could fight better, and so he didn't let those older kids pick on me. Thank you, Brother Jeff. I appreciate that. What? I'm keeping it real, bro. Okay. However, there are 7 of us. So Jeff's the oldest, then me, then Mike, then Rob, then Dwayne, Derek, Mark. Okay, so there's 7 of us, right? And on some level, all of us are type AA. On some level, all of us are type AA. Like, you say, what do you mean type AA? My mama was type A, my daddy was type A. Type AA. We wasn't type, there wasn't going to be a B in the bunch, right? Right? But even though we're all type AA on some level, and we don't always agree with each other, I think it's accurate to say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but I think it's accurate to say that more than 90% of the time, we get along with each other. More than 90% of the time. Would you agree with that, Jeff? Okay, now, even when we disagree, we get along with each other. Why? Because somebody has to yield. Right. I think my idea is better. I think my idea is better. I think my idea is better. Well, I think my idea is better. Okay, why don't we do it your way? See what happens. Like, and I think it's safe to say that all of us yield at some point to the others. Our younger brothers tend to yield more to us than, right? than we do to them. I'm just keeping it real. Okay. And so anyway, and I'm younger than Jeff, so y'all can figure out that equation. No, I'm just kidding. But what I'm saying is, you don't always have to agree with somebody to get along with them. If you apply the principle of be not overcome with evil, but over. And when I say evil, evil is not always evil. The word evil in the Bible is not always satanic, like Luciferian evil. But sometimes evil is just difficult, hard, trying, tough. Like when the Bible says, "Wherefore see that you walk circumspectly as wise, not as fools, redeeming the time because the days are evil." That word evil is not evil like the devil's evil. That word evil is evil like life is hard. That's why when it says redeeming the time, buy back your time, rescue it from loss, improve opportunity. Why? Because life is hard, right? So be not overcome with the difficulties of life, but overcome the difficulties of life with good. How do you do that? Well, first thing, if you're not going to be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good, you have to agree with God that there is an objective evil and there is an objective good, right? Oh, there's no good. Your good is your good. My good's my good. No, good's good. Evil's evil. There's an objective good and an objective evil. And if you disagree with God about that, you can't walk with God because can two walk together except to be agreed? You can't walk with God because you don't agree with God that there is a don't and there is a do, and the don't ain't the do and the do ain't the don't. And so we like to mix things up. You know what's fascinating to me? It's fascinating to me how I watch the more intelligent a human being becomes, the more tempted they are to worship the God of their own mind. And I hear some people that are so intelligent and they don't even realize how much they've outsmarted themselves because they're unwilling to acknowledge the only way they could possibly even have knowledge is that someone who is way more intelligent than them gave them the ability to have it. I was watching a video on YouTube last night by this guy who's a detective. And he told the story about how, he said, I went to solve this case one time, and there was this dead body there. And right beside the dead body was a cell phone, and on the cell phone it said BTI 30, be there in 30 minutes, right? But it was from his wife. And they were trying to solve the case, and here's what they figured out. His wife had been committing adultery. And she was sending her boyfriend to her husband's business to kill him. So now it's going to be over. But he called her and said, hey, I'll be home. I'm getting ready to leave the office. I'll be home shortly. He said, and then she texted him back, be there in 30 minutes. But he died 20 minutes later because the boyfriend got there to kill him. And he said, in order for us to solve that mystery, we have to ask some questions. We have to ask the question, what, when, where, why, and how. But he said, if those are the only questions you ask, you can never solve the mystery. If you stop, he said, this is why atheists, materialists, people who believe that everything that is just happened to be, like, where did organic life come from out of inorganic life? How did inorganic substances produce organic life? How? Right? And it's just like, I'm asking the question, okay, where did this message come from? Why is this message here? How did this murder happen? Asking all these questions. If we are unwilling to ask the last question, who committed this crime, we can never get to the point. And so you can ask, where did matter come from? Well, some people believe that it came from the water. Some people believe it came from subterranean. Some people believe it came from space. Okay, so you ask the where question. You ask the what question. Well, what is it? They ask the how question. Well, maybe it happened like this, and maybe it happened like this. Until you ask the who question, you cannot get an answer. And he gave the illustration, it was so powerful. He said, if I put my dog in front of a typewriter and just randomly type some letters, is that information? And the answer is yes, it's information. And he talked about 5 levels of information. I don't remember what they all are, but he said it's just random information, basically. He said, now if I put my typewriter in front of my dog and they tap TT spacebar, TT spacebar, TT spacebar, TT spacebar, TT spacebar, that is a higher level of information. It's still random, but it's something. Then he said, if I typed in grandpa, comma, let's eat, that's a different kind of information, right? That's a different kind of information. No, not grandpa, let's eat. Let's eat, comma, grandpa. That's a different type of information. Let's eat, comma, grandpa. That's a different kind of information. He said, but what happens if I take the comma out? Let's eat, grandpa. Now the sentence has a totally different meaning, and now this is an evil dog. Right? He says, but there's something in all organic life that is so orderly that it couldn't have come from randomness. It's called DNA. And DNA is a certain series, it's basically information that shows up in a specific order, over and over and over and over and rinse and repeat, in order for it to tell that thing what that thing is. That is the highest level of information. And so what we don't realize is, God is so all-wise, all-knowing, all-understanding that he has given us a playbook with play-by-play instructions on how to make it through this polar opposite life. It's so interesting. You look at something like men and women, and men and women are very different. Not just physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, relationally. Men and women are very different, and opposites attract. But if they don't begin to understand those differences and understand the purpose of those differences and how those differences are designed to help us collaborate with each other, then opposites will eventually stop attracting and they will start attacking. And then instead of collaborating with each other, they will begin to compete with each other and collide with each other, because we don't understand that we're not supposed to be overcome of evil, but we're supposed to overcome evil with good. And you know what's really interesting about this whole conversation? the reason God has to tell us to do it is because it does not come naturally. My natural inclination, oh, you pushed me, I'm gonna push you harder. You punched me, I'm gonna punch you harder. You hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you worse. Can I get a witness? God said, this ain't that. This ain't that. He said, recompense to no man evil for evil, provided things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves. It's not my job to get you back because you did me wrong, as much as I might like to. Well, it's not that I might like to. Right? And so it says, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. So here's the question. If you overcome evil with good, and vengeance is the Lord's, and he tells you, I've got you covered, I got your back. Somebody messes with you, I'm gonna mess with them. Who can better recompense you? You or God? So, if I get you back, the punishment that I'm going to give you is sparing you the punishment that God's going to give you. That's what it says. Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. And if I step in, then I am attempting to take God's place. And that is not my job. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in doing so, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Good can be overcome by evil. Evil can be overcome by good. Why? Because good is more powerful than evil. Energy is more powerful than entropy. Intention is more powerful than neglect. Discipline is more powerful than chaos. But you have to intentionally use good. Isn't it fascinating? Man, maybe you thought about this too, but you don't have to teach a child to lie. You only have to teach him how to tell the truth. Lying comes natural. Isn't that fascinating? Why? Because the sin nature makes evil easy and good hard. But that's the point. Easy on the front end equals hard on the back end. Hard on the front end equals good on the back end. Do the right thing, do the hard thing early, you'll be able to do the easy thing for a long time. But if you do the easy stuff early, you'll spend the rest of your life in the hard stuff. That's what, what are you saying, Myron? I'm saying it's all through Scripture. Sacrifice the short term on the altar of the long term. Sacrifice the long term on the short term on the altar of the long term. Don't sacrifice the long term on the altar of the short term. I'm going to end with this. People ask me all the time. They say, Myron, if you could go back and you could talk to your 20-year-old self or your 25-year-old self, what would you tell yourself? And usually they ask me that question in a business context. So I'm going to give that answer in a business context. I would say, Myron, you are going to get very rich. Do it sooner rather than later. Go all in early. Younger Myron might ask older Myron, well, why? Because the sooner you get it done, the longer you get to enjoy it with the people you love the most. There are things right now that I would love for my parents to have experienced with us. But that's not going to happen now. There are things that I would have loved for my oldest son, who passed away back in 2007, to have experienced with us. I can't go back and undo that. And so I often say, that's what I would say if I could go back and talk to my younger self. Like, you're going to do it So you might as well get it done early. But God in his sovereignty knows more than me. And if I would have gotten it done early, there are a lot of lessons that I learned along the way that I wouldn't have learned. There are some things that only time and tenacity can teach you. And I think one of those things is, be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Thanks for watching. I hope this video blesses you. Trust that you can win. Just do the good thing and keep doing it when it feels like it's not working, because I promise you, if it's not working for you yet, it's working on you, and it will work on you. It will work on you until you become the person for whom it can work. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Stay blessed by the best, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.